The deep ocean is three-dimensional darkness. For a tiny male anglerfish, navigating freezing temperatures and crushing pressure is hard enough. Finding a mate in this void is a statistical near impossibility. The females are rare and can be kilometers away in any direction. He has almost no time to search. He hatches without a functional digestive system, meaning he cannot eat. He survives solely on a ticking clock of borrowed energy, relying entirely on a highly sensitive olfactory system tuned to a specific chemical signal produced by a female. When he finally locks onto that trail and tracks her down, he doesn't perform a courtship dance. He swims up to her massive silhouette and bites directly into her flank. This initiates a process called sexual parasitism. His immune system, which should normally reject foreign tissue, switches off entirely. His body merges with hers at the cellular level, intertwining their blood vessels so her circulatory system becomes his. As her nutrient-rich blood flows into him, the parts of him that are no longer needed break down. His eyes, brain, and internal organs dissolve and are reabsorbed. What remains becomes a permanent living reproductive organ, producing sperm on demand. We might look at this loss of autonomy and see a horror story. But in biology, the individual is secondary. By fusing to her, he guarantees he will outlive any independent version of himself, securely passing his genes forward for the rest of her life. Up in the sunlight, the honeybee drone follows a different equation. He cannot sting, he gathers no pollen. His entire anatomy is built exclusively to eat, wait, and train his flight muscles for a single mating flight. When a virgin queen takes her mating flight, hundreds of drones launch into the sky to chase her. It is a high-altitude, full-speed race. Only the absolute strongest and fastest flyers will catch her midair. For the winners, the mechanics of success are brutal. The physical force and speed of the act causes the drone's reproductive organs to explosively rip away from his body. The biological circuit simply blows. Suffering immediate and catastrophic systemic failure, the drone detaches from the queen and falls thousands of feet back to the ground. It is a strict mathematical trade. He sacrifices his life in 1 second of momentum, but in exchange, the queen will use his genetic material to fertilize millions of eggs, sustaining her colony for the next half-decade. This calculus of sacrifice reaches its absolute peak in the rivers of the Pacific Northwest. Millions of sockeye salmon navigate thousands of kilometers from the ocean back to the exact freshwater streams where they hatched, fighting heavy currents and rapids. The moment they enter fresh water, a chemical trigger fires. They stop eating completely. Driven by a flood of stress hormones, their bodies initiate programmed cellular death. They literally begin to decompose and break down from the inside while they are still actively swimming upstream. Reaching the shallows, the female sweeps a nest into the gravel and lays her eggs for the male to fertilize. Their job complete, they do not leave. They stay anchored in the current, fanning the nest with their tails to supply oxygen to the eggs, as their internal system shut down. Their failing bodies draw the attention of the entire ecosystem. Bears, eagles, and scavengers converge on the rivers, plucking the exhausted salmon from the rapids and dragging their decaying carcasses deep into the surrounding woods. This flowchart maps exactly what happens next. The rotting fish release a concentrated payload of marine nutrients, specifically nitrogen, phosphorus, and carbon, directly into the soil. Those elements seep into root networks, leaving measurable traces of ocean-derived nitrogen in trees hundreds of meters away. Their death is an active structural requirement for the environment. By carrying the ocean into the mountains, they build a dense, nutrient-rich forest that provides shade and shelter for the precise streams where their offspring will hatch. But nature does not demand noble sacrifice. In a calm, bright freshwater lake, the bluegill sunfish takes a highly effective alternative route. A large parental male bluegill does everything by the book. He burns enormous energy excavating the perfect nest, aggressively courts females, and puts his own safety on the line to chase off rivals and guard the eggs. Then there is the sneaker male. He is much smaller, he builds no nest, he fights no rivals. Instead, he mimics the coloring and behavior of a female, allowing him to bypass the heavy security without drawing attention. Right as the parental male and the female begin to spawn, the sneaker darts into the nest, fertilizes whatever eggs he can reach, and rapidly swims away before the larger male can retaliate. He takes zero physical damage. He expends almost no energy. Yet this parasitic cheating strategy successfully duplicates his genetic code, leaving another fish to pay the biological cost. We see a fish dissolve its own brain to become an appendage. We see a bee explode in the upper atmosphere. We see a salmon rot alive to fertilize a forest. And we see a tiny sunfish quietly steal an opportunity. All of these strategies work. Biological selfhood, the idea of preserving the individual at all costs, is largely an illusion. Evolution places zero moral value on how a species reproduces. It ruthlessly rewards whatever specific, strange mechanics manage to keep the genetic code alive for one more generation.